stories were never meant to be told.
Ever wonder how the Philippines, a vibrant archipelago of over 7,000 islands, came to be the nation it is today? It's a story of ancient kingdoms, epic voyages, and a relentless fight for freedom. Let's dive into the incredible history of the Philippines. Our story begins long before the arrival of Europeans. Imagine a landscape dotted with bustling maritime states called barangays, led by chieftains or datas. These weren't isolated villages. They were part of a vast trading network that connected them with China, India, and the rest of Southeast Asia. Societies like the Kingdom of Tondo in Luzon and the Roganate, Cebu and the Visayas, were sophisticated centers of culture and commerce. Gold was abundant, art flourished, and a unique Filipino identity was already taking shape, written in ancient scripts like Babayan. This was a world of proud, self-sufficient seafaring peoples. Then, in 1521, everything changed. A Portuguese explorer sailing for Spain, Ferdinand Magellan, landed on the island of Hominhan. While he wasn't the first European to see the islands, his arrival marked the beginning of a new, dramatic chapter. Magellan's journey ended in a fierce battle in Mactan, where he was defeated by the local chieftain Lapu-Lapu, who is now celebrated as the Philippines' first national hero for resisting foreign rule. But Magellan's voyage had put the islands on Spain's map, and they named them Las Islas Filipinas after King Philip II. By 1565, Spanish colonization began in earnest. For over 300 years, Spain ruled the Philippines from Mexico City, creating a unique blend of Asian, European, and Latin American cultures. The Spanish introduced Christianity, which became the dominant religion and remains a cornerstone of Filipino identity today. They built stunning Baroque churches, established cities, and created a centralized government. However, this era was also marked by immense hardship. The Spanish imposed heavy taxes and forced labor, sparking numerous revolts across the archipelago. The desire for freedom simmered for centuries, a constant undercurrent to colonial life. As the 19th century came to a close, that simmer boiled over. A new class of educated Filipinos, known as the Ilustrados, emerged. From Europe, they launched the propaganda movement, using pens instead of swords. They didn't initially demand independence, but rather equality and reform. The most famous of them was Dr. Jose Rizal, whose novels Nolimi Tanger and El Filibusterismo exposed the injustices of Spanish rule and ignited the spirit of a nation. Rizal's execution in 1896 was the final spark. It transformed the call for reform into a full-blown revolution. A secret society, the Katipunan, led by Andres Bonifacio, rose up. From the cry of Pugad Lawin, the revolution spread like wildfire. Ordinary Filipinos from all walks of life joined the fight for Chilean freedom. Emilio Aguinaldo emerged as a key military leader, and on June 12, 1898, he declared the Philippines an independent republic, the very first in all of Asia. The Filipino flag was raised, and the national anthem was played for the first time. It was a moment of pure triumph and hope, but that hope was short-lived. Spanish-American War was raging, and in the Treaty of Paris, Spain sold the Philippines to the United States for $20 million, completely ignoring the newly declared republic. The Filipinos, who had just fought for their freedom from one colonial power, were now forced to fight another. The brutal Philippine-American War erupted, a conflict that many outside the Philippines know little about. It was a devastating war, but it demonstrated the unyielding Filipino spirit. The Americans eventually established control, ushering in a new era of colonization, which they termed benevolent assimilation. They introduced widespread public education, improved infrastructure and sanitation, and established a new system of government. English became the language of business and politics. While their rule was less oppressive than Spain's in some ways, the promise of independence remained the ultimate goal for the Filipino people. A semi-autonomous commonwealth was established in 1935, with a 10-year plan for full independence. But history had another cruel twist in store. In 1941, just a decade after the Commonwealth was established, World War II reached the Pacific. The Empire of Japan invaded the Philippines. The combined Filipino and American forces fought valiantly, with the defense of Bodin and Corregidor becoming legendary symbols of courage against impossible odds. This was followed by the infamous Bowdoin Death March and 3 years of brutal Japanese occupation. Filipino guerrilla fighters bravely resisted, paving the way for General Douglas MacArthur's famous return and the eventual liberation of the islands in 1945. Manila was left as one of the most devastated cities of the war, second only to Warsaw. Finally, on July 4, 1946, amidst the ruins of war, the American flag was lowered and the Filipino flag was raised, alone and supreme. The Philippines was officially an independent and sovereign nation. The post-war years were a period of rebuilding and navigating the complexities of self-rule. The nation grappled with economic challenges, political instability, and social inequality, the lingering shadows of its colonial past. The young republic faced one of its greatest tests in 1972 when President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law. This began a 14-year period of authoritarian rule. While proponents point to infrastructure projects and a sense of discipline, the era was defined by corruption, economic turmoil, and severe human rights abuses. The spirit of resistance, however, never died. The assassination of opposition leader Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. in 1983 galvanized millions of Filipinos. This culminated in the 1986 People Power Revolution. In a stunning display of non-violent protest, millions of ordinary citizens, armed with prayers and flowers, flocked to the streets of Manila. They faced down tanks and soldiers, and in 4 incredible days, they peacefully overthrew a dictator and restored democracy. It was a moment that captivated the world and became a shining example of the power of the people. From the ashes of dictatorship, the Philippines has continued to forge its path. It's a vibrant modern nation facing the challenges of the 21st century, from economic development to political reforms. But through it all, the echoes of its history remain. In the faith of its people, the warmth of their hospitality, the resilience in their spirit, and their unwavering love for family and country. The history of the Philippines is more than just a sequence of events. It's the epic story of a people who have fought, survived, and triumphed, always holding on to their unshakable dream of freedom. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Philippine history. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into culture and history, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this incredible story. See you in the next one.